Hi, I'm Erica Monet, and welcome to Metamorphosis. If you haven't been here before, the goal of Metamorphosis is to get through the journey of you and me empowering you to love you. All right, and so today I actually wanted to talk about boundaries. One of the things that we have a hard time with and has gotten harder than ever is creating boundaries. Since we've been at home because of coronavirus, it has been so much easier for those of us who are now working at home to cross that work-life boundary so much easier. Some of our social boundaries are crossed much easier. Even just our personal boundaries every day that maybe we wouldn't normally need are now crossed because we're all home together. And so I just want to talk about the importance of boundaries and why they matter and ways you can put them in place. And so one thing that I felt really encouraged by, a few months back, a friend of mine shared a post about her personal work-life boundaries that she was putting in place to keep herself from overworking now that she was at home. And so that encouraged me to put my own boundaries in place. And it takes time, so don't expect to say, oh, these are my boundaries, and for them to automatically just jump up. One of the things that I've been working on, even in my personal life and my counseling, is creating those personal boundaries. But it is so important to make sure that you have those boundaries in place. So how can we create those boundaries that we need on a day-to-day? So one way that makes it easier is to just use something like a planner and truly keep track of your time. Keep track of what you're doing, when you're doing it, and how it works. This is actually a happy planner that was given to me by a friend, and I love these because they help us track our time, but they also create sections for you to be able to do that. And so I just wanted to show you guys just what one of these sections looks like and why I love this. And this is just for me. You don't have to like this particular kind. But I love, this is a dated one, of course. So the dates are here, but also, let's see if you can see it because the light. There are 3 boxes under each date. And so the reason I love that is because what I do is I try to put personal schedules in there. I try to put work things or social media things, so things related to both Metamorphosis and to my teaching job that I do in one section. And then I try to put my health goals in the middle because I do have fibromyalgia and that is a part of my journey. And so I have to be responsible for keeping track of my medications, my pains, any new aches or pains or symptoms that come up. And so I love it because it allows me to keep track of all of those things, even my workouts, all of that stuff. So I love this planner because I can also slide things in and out of it very easily. And so this planner is just ideal for my personal boundaries because it helps me already by saying, okay, this is what I'm doing and when, and this is how, this is what I need to do here. And it kind of helps me keep track. So one suggestion I have for creating boundaries is to first make a list. Make a list of your daily schedule. Even if it's just for a week, keep track of what you're doing. So from this time to this time, this is what I'm doing. From this time to this time, this is what I'm doing. Maybe even write up some little things that come up that you realize bother you that maybe didn't before. So like one boundary that I didn't have to deal with personally, between work and personal life was that my children were not interrupting my classroom when I was at school teaching. But now, and for them too, I wasn't interrupting their class day while they were at school learning. But now we're in a place where I can be in my classroom / my bedroom office, and they can be in their classroom / their bedroom classroom, and we can hear each other sometimes. And so sometimes that can feel very invasive. So my kids actually have soundproof headphones so that they don't have to hear me. But in between classes, when they're not doing something, they may hear me and want to come in and ask me a question or come in and make a comment on something that I've said to my students. And while they may not have bad intentions, it is very much a boundary that is being crossed. So something that I had to start doing was putting my schedule on my bedroom door and a sign that says, Mommy is teaching from this time to this time, do not enter. And so now they know I'm teaching during those times, they can't come in. And so that's just one boundary. And so I had to make a list. And so what I loved about my friend's work-life boundaries was she made a list of the things that she knew she needed to do. So she made it a rule that at 5 p.m. I will have out of office notifications that go out. At 9 p.m. because for her, maybe that was a reasonable stop time for grading or lesson planning or anything like that. At 9 p.m., I will stop working. And so just being conscious of those things and making sure that those things are in place, created more success for her. For me, I was more intentional about making sure that I used my planning time as fully as possible, and also my scheduled hours. So my scheduled work hours, I have to be at work at 8 a.m. and get off at 4 p.m. And so I was very intentional about using any time before my actual teaching starts to get anything done that I needed to get done, using my planning periods very intentionally to get things done. And then also after school was over and my scheduled time till 4 to get things done. And so by doing that, I have greatly decreased, and I wish I had really had this in place even before Corona, but now I know it will go with me, of limiting my work hours to my work hours. I have found a way that is effective and works for me so that I am not crossing that work-life boundary that has become so much easier to cross now that we're home all the time. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to find what you are doing with work. Because maybe you don't have to work from home, but maybe somehow work is still coming home with you. Find a way to keep work at work, okay? And home at home. And so, keeping it as separate as possible. Another boundary that we need to work on for success in 2021 is just people. We have to create boundaries between people who are not for us or that time in our lives. So for example, I have some friends that I love dearly, but they are not motivated to reach the same goals that I am. And so I have to put a boundary in place to not spend as much time with those people so that they do not keep me from what I am trying to accomplish. And some of the friends that maybe I had that were just not really friends, they had to go completely because I had to respect myself enough to say, this is my boundary, this is what needs to happen, and this is not going to get done like that. And then there's also just being able to say no. No is an important boundary that I had to put in place for myself because the power of no matters. You have to be able to say, no, I can't do that. And that's what I'm even still working on because it can be so challenging sometimes when you're a people pleaser, and I know I am, to say no to others. But you have to be okay with saying no sometimes because your life is your life. Okay, it's not other people's, and you are not obligated to meet others' needs. You have to meet your needs first, okay? So it is okay to say no. It is okay to say no. I'm talking to myself too. It is okay to say no. And so those are just a couple of small boundaries we can put in place. But I just want you to think this week about ways that you can put boundaries in place in your lives. What are some areas where you're noticing in your life that things feel like they're crossing too much, or you're feeling too affected, you're feeling too downed or too changed, too controlled by something? So what can you do to put that thing in its lane? And so that's what I want to encourage you guys to do this week. Okay? You set your boundaries. Repeat after me. I set my boundaries. Okay? And you guys have a great week. Good luck with your boundaries.